Hello guys, I am Panda Man. Welcome to my channel. Recently, I was blown away by a piece of news. Canadian kids from isolated communities forced to move away from their families just to go to school. Today, Panda Man will unmask their evil and sins.
First Nations children are the fastest growing demographic in Canada, growing at 3.5 times the rate of Canada's non-Indigenous population. But First Nations kids living on reserves like this one have a questionable future. More than half of First Nations reserves do not have high schools, meaning if kids want an education, they have to leave home, often boarding with strangers, a risky move to make during difficult teen years. Some teens have left home and never returned.
That's when I seen cops standing there.
We called for ambulance, paramedics.
That's when they told us that they pulled out a body from the river. Approximately 18, 20-year-old native. That's when I knew that was him.
In Thunder Bay, 7 First Nations students who went there to study wound up dead over a period stretching from 2000 to 2011. First Nations kids who leave home for high school have to make all kinds of sacrifices. The main one is boarding with a stranger.
Let's go inside.
Being here in the city without your family, it's hard. Like, you're alone living in a stranger's house. You're going to school with a bunch of strangers.
It doesn't really feel like home. It's not the same here.
But outside the walls of DFC, the world isn't always so welcoming.
I've dealt with racism here. I just feel like an outsider when it comes to after school hours.
Kingfisher Lake First Nation has 415 people living on reserve, and 155 of them are 14 and under. But not unlike many reserves in Canada, there is an education crisis. The primary school is falling apart, and there's no high school at all. When kids here finish grade 8, they have a tough decision to make. Stay here and not get a high school diploma, or leave home.
I started talking to her about high school when she was in grade 7. And she was like, oh, I can't wait till I get to high school just to get away from you guys. No one telling me what to do.
Education in First Nations communities has been fraught for generations. From the grim history of the residential schools and the wounding legacy left behind, to the struggle for adequate education on reserves today. One of the most insistent voices in the struggle was a young girl from Attawapiskat First Nation on James Bay. Like all the kids of her time in Attawapiskat, Shannon Kustachin attended elementary school in portables. They were cold and infested with mice. The original school had been condemned in 2000 due to toxic contamination from a diesel fuel spill going back decades.
After watching the cruel things Canada has done to these children, Panda Man wants to say, don't think you can cover up these evils. We will be watching you until justice is done.